Have you ever felt like, that pressure to like have it all figured out by now? Like your dream job, your perfect life,
Oh, yeah.
but you're still kind of trying to figure out what you're even passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've all been there.
Totally.
So today we're diving into Bill Burnett's TED Stanford talk
Yeah.
about using design thinking to craft a life you love, and hopefully tackling this whole supposed to have it all figured out feeling head on. What do you think?
I think it's such a common experience, right?
Mm.
Like that pressure to have a singular passion, I think it can really hold us back.
Yeah.
And Burnett's approach is so refreshing
Yeah.
because it takes design thinking,
Yeah.
you know,
Hmm.
something that we usually use to solve problems and create products.
Mm-hmm.
And he applies it to your life, which is kind of a really cool way to break free from that limiting thinking.
It is. So how does design thinking actually like help us design our lives?
Well, it encourages us to approach life with a sense of curiosity, to reframe problems, and most importantly, to take action. It's about viewing life as a series of choices and experiments, not a predetermined path.
I love that. It takes the pressure off finding like that one right answer
Exactly.
and allows us to explore different possibilities, even if they seem a bit unconventional.
Yeah,
And Burnett actually points out a few common beliefs,
right.
these dysfunctional beliefs that can keep us stuck in that one right answer mindset.
He does. He calls out this idea that we need to find our one true passion as a myth.
Okay.
And what's fascinating here is that research actually shows that less than 20% of people have that singular driving passion.
Wow.
Most of us have multiple interests, and that's okay.
Okay.
In fact, it can be a huge advantage when designing a fulfilling life.
That's such a relief to hear. So instead of stressing about finding that one thing, we can embrace our diverse interests and see how they might connect in unexpected ways.
Totally.
What are some of the other dysfunctional beliefs Burnett debunks?
Another big one is the pressure of feeling like you should know what you want by now.
Oh, yeah.
This belief can be incredibly daunting,
Yeah.
especially in today's world where career paths are less linear
Right.
and people are forming their lives later than previous generations.
It's like there's this invisible timeline we're all supposed to follow,
Yeah.
but it's becoming increasingly irrelevant. People are switching careers,
Right.
starting businesses, pursuing passions later in life.
Exactly.
And that's awesome.
It is. And this belief that we should have it all figured out by a certain age actually prevents us from exploring different options and discovering new possibilities.
Okay, so we've debunked the myth of the singular passion and the pressure of the timeline. What's the third dysfunctional belief Burnett tackles?
The third belief is this idea that we should strive to be the best possible version of ourselves.
Okay.
And while self-improvement is great, this belief often leads to us chasing some unattainable ideal
Right.
instead of appreciating the many better options
Hmm.
that might actually bring us more joy and fulfillment.
It's like we're constantly comparing ourselves to some imaginary perfect version of ourselves. Yeah.
Instead of embracing our unique strengths and talents.
Exactly. And what's really important here is that focusing on this idealized version can actually prevent us from trying new things and discovering hidden passions that might lead to a more fulfilling life.
So how do we break free from these dysfunctional beliefs and start designing a life we truly love?
Well, Burnett offers some concrete strategies. 5 design thinking ideas, to be exact.
5 design thinking ideas. Interesting.
Yeah, the first one is all about connecting the dots between your work view and life view.
So what exactly are work view and life view?
Your work view is about your core beliefs about work.
Okay.
What's it for? What does it mean to you? And your life view is about your broader purpose, your beliefs about the world, and your place in it. Essentially, it's about understanding your values and how work fits into your overall life philosophy.
That makes sense. And I think a lot of us struggle with feeling like our work and our personal lives are completely separate. Right. And this concept of connecting the dots helps bridge that gap by encouraging us to find meaning and purpose in both areas of our lives. It's about aligning our work with our values and passions to create a more cohesive and fulfilling life.
This is already making me think differently about my own work and life. Have you ever found yourself consciously trying to connect those two viewpoints?
Oh, absolutely. It's an ongoing process for me. But I found that when I'm able to align my work with my broader values and purpose, it creates a sense of flow and fulfillment that's really powerful.
I can see that. It's not just about finding a job that pays the bills.
Right.
It's about finding work that resonates with who you are and what you believe in.
Exactly. And Burnett's next design thinking idea builds on this concept of aligning our actions with our values.
Okay.
He talks about accepting gravity problems.
Gravity problems. What are those?
Think of them as those unchangeable circumstances in life, those things that are beyond our control.
Okay.
Maybe it's a difficult boss,
Yeah.
a family situation you can't change, or even inherent limitations within your chosen field.
It's so easy to get stuck in frustration when facing these types of problems.
Oh, totally.
I know I've certainly been there.
We all have.
Hmm.
But Burnett suggests that instead of wasting energy trying to change the unchangeable, we should focus on recognizing and accepting these gravity problems.
Okay.
He uses the example of a family-run company where only family members can become president.
Oh, wow.
No matter how talented you are,
Yeah.
if you're not part of the family,
Yeah.
you'll never be president in that company. It's a gravity problem.
It's a perfect illustration. I can definitely see how that would apply to various situations in life.
Right.
It's about recognizing the reality of the situation
Hmm.
and then making conscious decisions about how to move forward.
Precisely. Do you accept the situation and focus on what you can control within that context? Or do you decide to pursue a different path altogether? The key is to shift your mindset from resistance to acceptance,
Yeah.
which can be incredibly empowering.
That's a great point. It's not about giving up or settling.
Right.
It's about focusing your energy on the things you can actually influence.
Exactly. And this leads us to Burnett's third design thinking idea,
Yeah.
designing multiple lives.
Designing multiple lives.
Yeah, this one's really fun and thought-provoking.
Multiple lives. I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Well, Burnett uses a thought experiment where you imagine living in multiple parallel universes,
Okay.
each representing a different potential life path.
Okay.
You could be a doctor in one, an artist in another, maybe even a chef in a third.
Feels like exploring all the different versions of yourself you could be.
Precisely. And when Burnett asks people how many lives they'd want to experience, the average is around 7.5.
Wow, 7.5. I think that really speaks to our natural curiosity
Yeah.
and this inherent desire to explore different possibilities in life. But realistically, we only get to live one life in this reality.
That's right. And while we can't literally live multiple lives,
Yeah.
Burnett suggests designing 3 distinct life plans.
Why 3 specifically?
Research in the School of Education has found that starting with 3 ideas leads to a wider range of possibilities
Yeah.
and more creative solutions. It's about pushing beyond the obvious and exploring options you might not have considered otherwise.
Okay, I'm on board with the 3 life plans. What do they look like?
The first plan is about optimizing your current life.
Okay.
What's working well
Mm-hmm.
and how can you make it even better? It also includes those bucket list items you've always wanted to do.
So it's about taking your current trajectory and amplifying the positive aspects while also incorporating those dream experiences.
Exactly. The second plan explores what you would do if your current career path suddenly disappeared. Like if robots took over your job or something.
That's a scary thought.
Hmm.
But it also forces you to think outside the box and consider alternative ways to use your skills and talents.
It does. It's a great exercise in adaptability and resilience.
Yeah.
And finally, the third plan is the wild card plan.
The wild card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you do if money were no object and you knew no one would judge you?
Oh, I love that. It's about unleashing your wildest dreams and passions without any constraints. What would you do for your wild card plan?
That's a tough one, I think. I think my wild card plan would involve traveling the world, learning new languages, and maybe even writing a novel. What about you?
Ooh, that sounds amazing. For my wildcard plan, I'd open a cozy bookstore cafe where people could gather, read, and talk about books all day long. And maybe there'd be a resident cat, too.
I love that. A bookstore cafe with a cat sounds like the perfect place to spend an afternoon.
Right. And while it's unlikely that either of us will be quitting our jobs to pursue these wildcard plans anytime soon, the process of creating them can spark some pretty awesome ideas.
Absolutely. It helps you tap into those forgotten passions and dreams. And sometimes elements of those wildcard plans can actually be incorporated into your current life, even if it's in small ways.
That's so true. It's about finding ways to infuse your life with more of what you love, even if it's not a complete overhaul. Okay, so we've got 3 life plans. Optimizing the current one, exploring a backup, and indulging in the wild card. What's Burnett's next design thinking idea?
His fourth idea is all about prototyping your life.
Prototyping, like building a mini version of your life before committing to the full-scale model.
Exactly. It's about testing out different aspects of your life plans before making any major changes. Remember that quote from William Gibson that Burnett mentioned? The future is already here. It's just unevenly distributed.
Yes, I love that quote. It's so thought-provoking.
It perfectly sets up the idea of prototype conversations. There are people out there already living the kind of lives we might be considering. Tacking to them can offer invaluable insights.
So, for example, if you're thinking about becoming a chef, you might reach out to chefs you admire and ask them about their experiences.
Precisely. What's their day-to-day life like? What are the biggest challenges they face? What brings them the most joy? These conversations can help us paint a more realistic picture of what that life might actually be like.
That's so practical. It's like getting a sneak peek behind the curtain before making any major decisions.
Exactly. Yeah. And Burnett also suggests prototype experiences, ways to briefly immerse ourselves in a potential life path without making a full commitment. This could involve taking a class, volunteering, or even shadowing someone in your field of interest. He shares an anecdote about an executive who dreamed of becoming a teacher.
I'm curious to hear what happened. Did she make the leap?
Well, instead of quitting her job and enrolling in a teacher training program right away, she decided to prototype the experience by attending a few classes and talking to teachers.
I see. It's like a test drive before buying the car.
It is.
Hmm.
And what she learned from that experience was really insightful. While she enjoyed the subject matter, she realized she didn't actually enjoy being in a classroom setting.
Wow, that's so valuable. It probably saved her from making a major life change that ultimately wouldn't have been fulfilling.
Exactly. Prototyping helps us test our assumptions and gather real-world insights before diving headfirst into something new. It's a way to minimize risk and increase the chances of finding a path that truly aligns with our values and goals. Have you ever prototyped a potential life change even informally?
I think I have without even realizing that's what I was doing. A few years ago, I was considering starting my own podcasting business. But instead of diving in head first, I started by offering to help friends and colleagues with their podcasting projects.
And what did you learn from that experience?
I learned that I loved the creative aspects of podcasting, but I wasn't so keen on the business side of things. It helped me realize that maybe being a full-time podcasting entrepreneur wasn't the right fit for me at that time.
That's a great example of how prototyping can help us gain clarity and make more informed decisions. It's about gathering data and experimenting before making any big leaps.
Okay, so we've explored the first four design thinking ideas: connecting our work and life views, accepting gravity problems, designing multiple lives, and prototyping our choices. What's Burnett's fifth and final idea?
His last idea is all about choosing well and letting go.
That sounds like a crucial yet challenging step in the process.
It is Burnett outlines a four-step process for making a choice. You gather options, narrow them down, make the decision, and then here's the key, you let go and move on.
Letting go can be so hard, especially when we're faced with big life decisions. It's so easy to second guess ourselves and wonder if we made the right choice.
Absolutely. And that's why Burnett emphasizes the importance of acknowledging both rational and emotional factors in decision-making. It's not just about logic and pros and cons lists. It's also about tuning into that gut feeling.
So we shouldn't discount our intuition, even if it doesn't align perfectly with our logical analysis.
Exactly. Sometimes that gut feeling can offer valuable insights that our conscious mind might be overlooking. It's about finding a balance between our head and our heart.
That makes a lot of sense. I've definitely had experiences where my gut feeling steered me in the right direction, even when it went against my initial logical thinking.
A powerful force. And Burnett also talks about the problem of choice overload, where having too many options can actually lead to paralysis.
Oh, I've been there. It's like trying to choose what to watch on Netflix, but there are just too many options, so you end up scrolling endlessly and not watching anything.
Exactly. And Burnett's advice for dealing with choice overload is simple. Reduce the number of options, narrow it down to a manageable few, and then make your decision from there.
It's about simplifying the process and removing unnecessary complexity. Sometimes too much choice can be overwhelming and actually prevent us from taking action.
That's right. And finally, Burnett emphasizes the importance of making our decisions irreversible, at least for a set period of time.
Why is that? Wouldn't it be better to keep our options open just in case?
Well, research suggests that when we have the option to change our minds, we tend to be less satisfied with our choices. It creates a sense of doubt and uncertainty.
So it's like the grass is always greener syndrome. We keep wondering if we would have been happier with a different choice.
Precisely. But when we commit fully to a decision, even if it wasn't perfect, we tend to find ways to make it work and ultimately be happier with the outcome.
It's about embracing the decision we've made and focusing on the positive aspects rather than dwelling on what might have been.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And remember, as Burnett points out, design thinking is an iterative process. You can always revisit your decisions and make adjustments along the way. Life is not static. It's a continuous design project.
That's such a reassuring thought. It takes the pressure off finding that one perfect path and allows for growth and evolution over time.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up this deep dive into Bill Burnett's design thinking approach, what are some upcoming decisions you need to make? How can you apply these insights from his talk to navigate those choices?
That's a great question. Well, I've been debating whether to enroll in a coding boot camp to learn some new skills. It's something I've been thinking about for a while now, but I've been hesitant to take the plunge.
It sounds like a potential prototype experience in the making. What are some of your hesitations?
I guess I'm worried about the time commitment and whether it will actually lead to new opportunities.
Those are valid concerns. And Burnett's approach would encourage you to explore those concerns through prototype conversations and experiences. Have you talked to people who have gone through coding boot camps?
I haven't actually. That's a great idea. Maybe I could reach out to some alumni and ask about their experiences.
Exactly. And perhaps you could even try a short online coding course to get a feel for the material and see if it sparks your interest.
Those are some really helpful suggestions. Thanks for helping me think through this. I'm feeling much more empowered to explore this decision and see where it leads.
That's what it's all about. Remember, you are the designer of your life.
Yeah,
You have the power to shape it into something truly remarkable.
those are inspiring words. Okay, before we wrap up, let's do a quick recap of the 5 key ideas from Burnett's talk on designing your life.
Sounds good. So first, connect the dots between your work view and your life view.
Hmm.
You know, by aligning your work with your values and passions, you'll find more meaning and purpose in what you do.
Right. Second, accept those gravity problems, those unchangeable circumstances we all face. Don't waste energy trying to fight them. Instead, focus on what you can control and make conscious decisions about how to move forward.
Yeah. And third, design 3 different life plans. Optimize your current life, create a backup plan in case things change, and then just let loose with a wildcard plan where money is no object and you can do whatever you want.
I love that. And fourth, prototype your life through conversations and experiences. Talk to people who are already living the life you're considering and try out different activities to see what it might actually be like.
Yeah. And finally, choose well and let go. Make your decision, commit to it, and move forward with confidence.
These are some pretty powerful tools for designing a life we love. It's not about finding the one right answer, but rather embracing the journey and continually evolving along the way.
It is. And here's one final thought to leave you with. Since design thinking is an iterative process, how can you view your life as an ongoing design project, always open to adjustments and improvements?
That's a great question to ponder. It's so empowering to think of our lives as an ever-evolving design, constantly adapting and refining as we learn and grow.
Exactly. And remember, you are the designer of your life. You have the power to shape it into something truly extraordinary.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into Bill Burnett's insightful ideas. We hope you found it as inspiring as we did. And remember, keep designing a life you love.